you might give Sister BJ a big hug, but you don't necessarily give Brother John a big hug. Why? We're all children of God. Why is it that you're equating or putting a percentage on the hug that you give Sister BJ versus Brother John? Maybe Sister BJ is a little bit more quieter and more tender, and Brother John, as I sometimes like to tell him that he talks loud or he's more of an extrovert. But why are we deciding the type of love that we should extend to each other, no matter how we think that somebody may be abrasive towards us, or, you know, the same grace, marvelous grace that God extends to us? And I'm not saying we're perfect. None of us are. And we struggle every day. But when we come to church, if we're pouring into each other, why come and sit down and know that you're upset? As they said before communion, you're supposed to leave your sacrifice at the altar and go and make amends. Are we doing that? Apart from, you know, Brother Hughes, as Sister BJ alluded to, and Sister Dion had an excellent presentation for Vespers last night. You know, and every time I unmuted to say something, everybody said what I was going to say. Even last night, yesterday, we said to John in that day, I said to John, you know, is it okay if I share? No? Okay. All right, so he doesn't want me to share that. But something major is going to happen in our family at the end of the month. And we're trusting God. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're trusting God. And I said to him, should we start maybe going to a church that's closer to cut down on expenses, and also, you know, just to reduce certain things that we know we're going to be impacted by? He said, no, I'm still going to go to University Heights. We're still going to worship God. Brother Guy, I see you have your hand up. But why do we come to, Brother Guy, you can come to the mic. I see your hand, have your hand up. But think about it honestly, whether we like somebody or not. If we want to really go to heaven, think about how we treat others versus how we expect God to treat us.
If I know that Brother Spence don't like my head, where do I get the courage from to go and give him a hug on a Sabbath morning? I don't want to be embarrassed.
Has he told you that he didn't like your hair? Or you're just assuming, or you heard something?
Well, it all depends. Somebody said something, and I get that information. I just cannot go and hold sister there and hug up. Mm-hmm. No, I have to make sure that before I say something to her and she smiles, I know she appreciates what I said, so then I could feel confident going and give her a hug. But it's not an easy thing sometimes.
I know, but the Bible also talks about talebearers and gossipers, because somebody can come to you and say, oh, Brother Spencer said he didn't like your hair, when in fact Brother Spencer didn't say it. The person sees the relationship that you have with Brother Spencer, and the devil is trying to come into the middle to break that apart. So I'm not perfect. I don't have the perfect answer, but I would say to you, go to Brother Spencer. You don't have to tell him what you heard, but Brother Spencer, you know, I'm upset because pray about it, whatever the Lord. If you feel that you can't speak to Brother Spencer because of how you think he would react, then get somebody to go with you. Because I have an incident that happened recently, and it blew out of proportion. It was a public event, and some persons texted me and wanted me to have a meeting with the person to try and resolve it. But the space I was in, I'm thinking it shouldn't have gone that far because, you know, we're all adults. And I didn't want to meet with anybody to have a discussion because of the type of person the other person is. But reflecting on it a few days after, and I prayed about it, the person has come to church. They don't talk to me. And I didn't say anything to them, and I'm saying that's on me too. Because if the person came and they usually say hi to me and I'm sitting in church worshiping God, I am at fault too. Because I should be able to take somebody and go to that person and say, hey, I know we have a misunderstanding, but God's grace. We have to help each other. Yes, Brother Ricketts?
Yeah, I was just going to say to Brother Guy that in the toolbox of the enemy he uses division. And as a people of God, we have to put away malice, and we have to put away evil clamoring. And of course, we are to remember the Apostle Paul when he said we have to esteem each other, and that even if we find somebody at fault, we are to lift up that person in love. So, even to my wife, we have to recognize that, say, hey, if this is going to be like an Achilles heel, by the grace of God, we say we have to overcome, and that we dwell together in brotherly love, honoring one another, and so fulfill the law of God that we love each other as our Christ loved us.
Amen. I don't want to infringe on lesson review. Anyone online? 1 second, Brother Spencer. Anyone? Go ahead.
I wanted to say, you know that song that says, look upon Jesus, sinless is he, Father, impute his life unto me.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what I've been trying to sing for the past couple of weeks, weeks, because certain things that happen in our personal lives, we tend to carry it into church. And it is so wrong. And you also spoke about, like when, if somebody comes to hug somebody and, they don't give that same hug to the other person. It happened to me in church recently, as recent as 2 or 3 weeks ago, when somebody hugged somebody else who was in my presence, and when I came to extend that hug to that person just brushed me off by touching my hand. And so that's how I felt, and I just had to scream again and just say, look upon Jesus, sinless is he. And so this is the kind of behavior that we impute, and it will bring others down. But my thing is, I did not come to church to worship any other party but God, and I'm just looking for a way how to have peace. And that's what God, because we are all saying that we want to go to heaven, and this is our goal, and that should always remain the the focal point as to why we come to church, to all get to heaven. When we all get to heaven, what a happy and glorious time that will be. When we all see Jesus, we will sing and shout for victory. And this is what I hope that we all have in our mind moving forward.
Amen. And we're expected to love and support each other. It doesn't mean that if Sister BJ wrongs me and I go to Sister BJ and say, Sister BJ, you wronged me. If she doesn't want to forgive me, that's not on me. That's not on, each person has to have that relationship with God and say, okay, why am I not forgiving Sister Ann? Why am I not forgiving Sister BJ? When I go to God, everybody has done things in their life. They go to God and say, God, forgive me. Do we expect God to forgive us? The wheat and the tares shall grow together until the day of harvest. Lord, help us all to be faithful. Yes, Brother Spencer, and then we'll close off and turn over to the lesson review.
John 2:24 said, they that worship, say God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. If when I walked inside here and I have aught against someone, I cannot worship God in truth. So I have to have that love that Christ extend to everyone. And not because Christ said we must love, he says I must body you. I must respect you. And therefore, if I'm going to show respect in praise when I come in here, whatever ought I have against someone, I should leave it at the altar and come and make right with the person. Because when I do that, it's not for the person, but it's for me. Because if I want to go to heaven, I have to do that. When that person is walking